Welcome to our show titled Air Pollution, an alarming health hazard. Air is one of the most fundamental elements to our lives. In an urgent situation, we may survive for a few weeks without food, but we can't live without air for more than a few minutes. Thankfully, the air we breathe in is readily available anytime. However, globally, there has been a deterioration of air quality at an alarming rate. Air pollution was among the top 5 leading risk factors for early death worldwide in 2019 and causes about 7 million deaths every year. Today, 90% of people breathe unclean air that contains significant amounts of pollutants. Even though air quality in Europe has improved in the past decade, a special report called State of Global Air 2020 revealed that the highest annual exposure to PM 2.5 continues to be seen in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. PM 2.5 refers to particulate matter, one of the most concerning substances in air pollution. It is a mixture of solid particles and liquid droplets suspended in the air. The source of particulate matter can be human-made or naturally occurring. They can derive from nature, such as salt from the sea or dust from deserts and wildfires. But the majority are formed as a result of complex reactions of chemicals such as sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides, emitted by power plants, industries and vehicles. Then toxic volatile organic compounds can cling onto particulate matter and potentially cause harmful health effects. As the size of the particulate matter is greatly associated with its detrimental effects, fine particles can pose a serious threat to our health. They can be inhaled deeply into the respiratory tract or even enter into the bloodstream due to its fine size. So how small is PM 2.5 exactly? By definition, it is a particle 2.5 micrometers or less. Take our hair as an example. A single human hair is about 70 micrometers in diameter, while particles of less than 2.5 micrometers are about 30 times thinner than a human hair. So you might be wondering how PM 2.5 can enter the bloodstream. Before we get into that, let's have a look at the structure of our lungs. The lungs are the key organ responsible for exchanging oxygen with carbon dioxide. Our body is made up of trillions of cells that utilize oxygen and sugar as the fuel to generate energy to support their functions. In return, carbon dioxide is generated as a waste product that needs to be removed from the body. As we breathe in, oxygen enters our lungs and is exchanged for carbon dioxide. Imagine the lungs are like an upside-down tree, whereby the trachea, known as the windpipe, is the tree trunk that extends from the back of our throat to the chest. Then the trachea splits into 2 main bronchi, which are like the branches of the tree and sit in the right and left side of the chest. The bronchi then divide into smaller branches called bronchioles, spreading across the lungs. There are about 30,000 bronchioles in each lung, and each bronchiole then ends with a group of air sacs called alveoli, which are like the leaves of those fine branches. Each hollow cup-shaped alveolus ranges from 200 to 500 micrometers and is covered with a network of tiny blood vessels where oxygen and carbon dioxide diffuse for exchange. It is no wonder that PM 2.5 can easily enter the finest alveoli, which are about 200 micrometers in diameter. Due to its much tinier size, PM 2.5 can accumulate in the alveoli and enter the bloodstream directly during the gas exchange. Once PM 2.5 enter blood circulation, it can even cross the blood-brain barrier of the brain. This barrier is a highly selective boundary that can prevent circulating toxins or pathogens from getting into the brain. Yet it allows certain substances, such as nutrients, to cross in order to keep the brain functioning. Studies show that breaching of the blood-brain barrier is linked to brain aging. Besides that direct pathway, PM 2.5 may affect the brain indirectly by triggering inflammation in the body, which subsequently causes inflammatory proteins to pass through the barrier. Eventually, this leads to the death of certain brain cells.
There's no doubt that in the Hebrew Bible that until the story of Noah, the text is very clear. Humans were vegan, they were plant-based. The Reverend Rabbi Jonathan Klein, vegan.
We will pause a moment for a constructive message and then return. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to Air Pollution, an alarming health hazard, part 1 of 2, on Supreme Master Television. Now we will continue to learn about the adverse effects of air pollution on our health. A systematic review was conducted by the National Toxicology Program of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to examine the link between traffic-related air pollution and hypertensive disorders of pregnancy. Pregnant women exposed to air pollution may have a higher chance of elevated blood pressure, which is a common cause of preterm birth. In addition, particulate matter increases the risk of low birth weight and having a child with autism. Inhaling PM 2.5 might also change the size of a child's developing brain, and this can eventually make them become more vulnerable to emotional problems when they enter adolescence. Research has shown that the elderly in the United States who are exposed to the annual mean amount of PM 2.5 nationally have a greater chance of developing neurological disorders such as Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, and associated dementias. Besides particulate matter, ozone is another major part of the air pollution. At the molecular level, ozone is composed of 3 oxygen atoms, giving its molecular formula O3. It occurs in both the atmosphere and at the ground level, and it can either be naturally occurring or human-made. In the atmosphere, the solar ultraviolet radiation reacts with the oxygen, O2, and forms ozone. The ozone layer is present in the stratosphere, and it protects us from excessive exposure to ultraviolet radiation. However, when it's present at the ground level, it's mostly man-made. It's created in the presence of sunlight by photochemical reactions between nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds, emitted from cars, electric utilities, industrial facilities, refineries, and other sources. If ozone can react with organic compounds outside the body, it can also do the same inside the body. However, such internal reactions between ozone and organic materials can pose detrimental effects on the respiratory system. Low amounts of ozone can lead to chest tightness, coughing, shortness of breath, and throat discomfort. Not only does ozone exposure worsen chronic respiratory diseases such as asthma, but also it weakens the body's response to fight off respiratory infections. Next, let's take a look at how air pollution impacts COVID-19. We know that the risk of developing more severe symptoms of COVID-19 may be higher in people with pre-existing conditions such as hypertension, asthma, obesity, or diabetes. Air pollution may worsen this relationship. Pollutants such as car emissions can weaken the immune system of those who are trying to recover from COVID-19. According to a study from Harvard University in the United States, an increase of 1 microgram per cubic meter in PM 2.5 increases the COVID-19 death rate by 8%. Meanwhile, Dr. Mary Prunicki from Stanford University in the United States found that air pollution can also exacerbate the COVID-19 situation in a surprising way, that particulates and nitrogen dioxide in air pollutants can act as vectors for the coronavirus to spread. Reducing air pollution is something that urgently needs attention in order to safeguard our health regardless of the COVID-19 pandemic. The large-scale lockdowns seen worldwide have slowed our pace of life and led to a significant decrease in road and transport use globally. Consequently, hardly seen blue clear skies have reappeared in many polluted cities, even if this was temporary. This shows us the possibility of a greener world and healthier environment if we choose a more eco-friendly lifestyle. Did you know that the air we consume is more than the water we drink daily if the volume is quantified? On average, a staggering 10,000 litres of air comes into our bodies every day. Thus, the quality of air does matter and deserves our attention. In the last episode, we learned that air pollution is one of the greatest environmental risks to health. According to the World Health Organization, or WHO, about 91% of the world's population live in places where air contamination exceeds safe limits. The causes of air pollution can be of natural origin, such as dust, desert sand, wildfires, and volcanic eruptions. Or the origins can be man-made. However, the most influential factor is still human activities, including burning fossil fuels in power generation, industry, and transportation. Pollutants such as carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and volatile organic compounds can combine and react with other substances or sunlight, forming harmful pollutants such as ground-level ozone and smog. They can lead to respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, allergies, asthma, type 2 diabetes, and even cancer. Thus, air pollution is tragically responsible for many premature deaths worldwide. Today we will look at another prominent factor which is also affecting the quality of our air. The most direct impact from animal, people, livestock raising is the odor produced from their factories, which can be extremely uncomfortable and often unbearable, both physically and mentally. The animal, people, livestock industry produces large amounts of waste like urine and manure, which emit around 400 different harmful gases into the atmosphere. Not only do these gases directly worsen the air quality, but they also contribute to greenhouse gases, exacerbating air pollution. The waste products from animal, people, livestock factories are stored in open-air lagoons. Because they are left untreated, airborne particulate matter mixes with dry manure and contaminates the air nearby. Consequently, people living nearby frequently suffer from respiratory irritation, lung inflammation, organic dust, toxic syndrome, and sometimes cardiac arrest. Asthma is also a serious concern, especially for the tender children. The facilities also put local residents at risk of viral infections, such as ever new mutations of swine flu and avian flu, which can be transmitted through the air. Also released from animal, people, livestock factories are the two major greenhouse gases called methane and nitrous oxide, along with ammonia, hydrogen sulfide, and other noxious chemicals. According to the US Environmental Protection Agency, methane emissions from pig and cattle people have increased by up to 50% in the last 15 years. Meanwhile, deforestation for the meat production industry has been accelerating the effect of global warming. The warmer weather results in the formation of ground-level ozone and dust. It also increases the chance of wildfires, which in turn further aggravates air pollution and global warming. Sooner or later, exposure to these particle pollutants can bring harmful effects to our health. Furthermore, higher temperatures exacerbate the occurrence of extreme weather events, some of which also impact air quality. In March 2021, China's capital, Beijing, took a strong hit from a massive sandstorm sweeping across Mongolia and northwestern China. The dust in the sandstorm, combined with already high air pollution, turned the skies over Beijing into a strange orange color. Beijing's air quality index at that time reached a record of 999, the hazardous level, whereas the recommended average daily concentration by the World Health Organization is just 25. Nowadays, there is also less snow and rainfall due to warmer temperatures in northern China, resulting in further drier and dustier air. This has caused the sandstorms this year to be more severe than ever.
Experts say that eating less meat will also minimize our impact on the environment and help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. His Excellency Ban Ki-moon, veg advocate.
We will pause a moment for a constructive message and we'll be right back. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to Air Pollution, an Alarming Health Hazard, Part 2 of 2 on Supreme Master Television. Let's now find out how to protect ourselves from the harms of poor air quality. In 2020, the United Nations designated September 7th as the first International Day of Clean Air in order to raise awareness about the importance of unpolluted air for our health, productivity, the environment, and the economy. Even though air pollution seems to be an overwhelming problem, there are actually a number of actions we can take to mitigate it. First and foremost, we should switch to a vegan diet. Adopting a plant-based diet is the simplest way to reduce greenhouse gases and significantly cut down the greenhouse gases generated by the animal people livestock raising industry. In the journal Climatic Change, a study conducted by the University of Oxford compared the dietary greenhouse gas emissions of meat eaters, vegetarians, and vegans. The researchers found that people who consume more than 100 grams of meat per day generate up to 7.2 kilograms of carbon dioxide equivalent daily, whereas vegans generate only 2.9 kilograms. Therefore, adopting a plant-based diet can greatly reduce greenhouse emissions from animal, people, livestock raising and lessen global warming. By bringing down the temperature, particulates that arise from wildfires and dry weather can be reduced, thus improving the air quality, while the formation of ground-level ozone will also decrease. This eventually will stop the vicious cycle between air pollution and global warming. Besides, plant-based foods are abundant in antioxidants, which can protect the body from oxidative stress induced by air pollution. Long-term oxidative stress has been linked to chronic diseases such as cancer, heart disease, and diabetes, as well as aging. Second, we can lessen air pollution by driving clean fuel cars. Clean fuel cars are motor vehicles designed to run on fuels that produce lower greenhouse gases. These fuels include hydrogen, electricity, and ethanol, etc. When battery electric vehicles and conventional cars are being compared, particle mass, or PM, is one of the indicators used to evaluate the emissions. Primary PM emissions such as soot comes directly from the exhaust, along with secondary PM emissions, namely toxic gases including nitrogen oxides, carbon monoxide, and hydrocarbons. Nitrogen oxides can cause lung irritation and weaken our immunity to respiratory infection, while carbon monoxide prevents oxygen from being transported by the red blood cells to various parts of the body. A recent study published by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, showed that such toxic gases account for up to 29% of the total PM emissions of a car. Also, when someone switches from a conventional car to a battery electric vehicle, PM emissions can be cut down by up to 42%. Therefore, driving an electric vehicle is a wonderful option in terms of reducing air pollution. Third, we can protect our health from air contaminants by planting more trees, including in urban areas. Trees cool the air temperature around them, most directly by providing shade. Trees can block sunlight and prevent buildings from direct exposure to the heat. This conserves the energy used for indoor air conditioning, thereby curbing greenhouse gases. In addition to shading, trees also cool the air by transpiration cooling. In this process, trees draw water from the soil into the roots, and water travels upwards towards the leaves. Eventually, water will transpire from the leaves into the air in a gas vapor form, which then cools the surrounding air. If more trees are planted in urban areas, temperatures can be lowered to reduce the amount of harmful pollutants like ground-level ozone. Not only do trees help to reduce detrimental air pollutants, but they also act as air purifiers. Trees can filter the air in two ways, the first of which is dispersion. When pollutant particles suspended in the air contact the tree, some of them will get stuck on the trees. As a result, the concentration of particles loose in the air is minimized. Lastly, these trapped particles will be washed away as it rains, known as disposition. This is the second way that trees purify the air. So if you can, it's a good idea to plant some trees in your yard or balcony. They're also a wonderful and eco-friendly way to beautify your home. Finally, until our planet's atmosphere becomes safer for everyone, we should consider using protective equipment for ourselves and our family members as a short-term defense. In late 2019 through early 2020, Australia experienced severe bushfires that burnt vast parts of the country. Due to the harmful smoke haze, people were urged to stay indoors. If you are stuck in a situation like this, or if your city has days with poor air quality, consider getting an air purifier with a high-efficiency particulate arrestance or HEPA filter. As the air passes through the fine mesh in the air purifier, some toxic particles can be removed, improving the air quality inside the house. Plus, many people use air purifier bags made with bamboo charcoal. There are also many different kinds of houseplants that have been shown to help clean the air and are easy to maintain. And of course, if you have to go outside where the air is not so good, a mask or particulate respirator can filter out some particles that potentially cause irritation to the nose, eyes and lungs. We wish that you and your loved ones will be safe. Let us also pray for heaven's help and wisdom, so that humankind will U-turn to a more viable vegan way of life. May we also work to improve the air quality in every aspect, because for every one of us there is no other physical necessity more crucial to our survival than having breathable air. Energetic viewers, we were honored to have you with us today for this program.